All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about something that might sound a little crazy at first, and that is, you don't actually own your land.
I mean, think about it. You've got the title deed, right? It's probably sitting in a safe place somewhere. Feels pretty official, pretty solid. But what if I told you that piece of paper doesn't actually mean you own the ground your house is on? Yeah, let's get into what's really going on here.
Okay, so our first section is what we're calling the Great Ownership Myth. We're going to peel back the layers on what we all think ownership means here in New Zealand and see what the law actually has to say about it.
To really get this, we have to go back to square one. There's this one single legal truth, and it's the foundation for everything. It underpins every single piece of land in the entire country.
And there it is. That's the big reveal. The Crown is the paramount owner of all land in New Zealand. Not you, not the bank, the Crown. So what you're holding isn't the land itself. It's something totally different.
This whole idea leads us straight to a really important legal concept. It's got a bit of a fancy name, the Crown's radical title. And you can think of it as the source, the fountainhead, where every single property right in the country comes from.
So, what does that actually mean for you and me? Well, here's a good way to picture it. Imagine the Crown holds a giant cake, and that cake is all the land in New Zealand. It owns the whole thing. What you get isn't the cake itself. It's just a slice, a bundle of rights that the Crown has carved out and granted to you. You're not buying the land. You're buying an interest in it.
And look, this isn't some wacky, forgotten legal theory. No way. This is a bedrock principle of New Zealand law. It comes from English common law, it's baked into our statutes like the Land Transfer Act, and it's been upheld in major court cases. This is as real as it gets.
Okay, so if you don't actually own the land, then what in the world is that title deed you have? Well, that's what's known as a fee simple estate, and it's the best you can get. It's the highest form of interest a private person can hold, but, and this is the crucial part, it's still not true ownership.
Now, having a fee simple estate gives you a ton of rights for sure. You can live on the land, you can use it, you can sell your interest to someone else, but the key thing to remember is that these are all rights that were granted to you. It's fundamentally different from owning the physical dirt and rock itself, lock, stock, and barrel.
So what you end up with is this kind of two-tiered structure. On one level, you have the citizen, that's us, holding what's called the abstract legal title. That's our right to possess and use the land. But on the top tier, you have the Crown, holding the equitable and beneficial control. And that's where the real power lies, the ultimate control over the land. I know, this all sounds super academic and theoretical, right? But believe me, it has incredibly real-world consequences. So let's break down the 3 big ways the Crown actually uses this power and how it affects the property you call your own.
All right, mechanism number 1. This is the big one, compulsory acquisition. You've probably heard of this. It's under the Public Works Act. Basically, if the Crown decides it needs your land for something, a new highway, a hospital, whatever, it can just take it. Simple as that.
And the process is brutally efficient. You'll get a notice telling you what's about to happen, then a notice goes into the official government gazette, and poof, just like that, the title is transferred back to the Crown, your ownership is gone. You can't say no, you can't fight it, all you can do is argue about how much they're going to pay you for it.
Okay, on to mechanism number 2. This one is a little more subtle, but you could argue it affects way more people on a daily basis, and that is the Crown's overwhelming regulatory power. This isn't about taking the title, it's about controlling every little thing you can do on your land.
And the amount of power here is just immense. Through local and central government, they can stop you from building that deck you wanted. They can force you to tear down a structure. They can rezone your quiet residential street into a commercial zone against your wishes. They can even stop you from rebuilding your own home after a natural disaster. Your fee simple title? It's subject to all of it.
And that brings us to the third and final mechanism. This one is very much a product of our digital age. You see, we don't really use paper deeds anymore. Everything has moved online, and that shift has completely changed the game when it comes to who's in control.
Think about it, your ownership isn't a piece of parchment anymore. It's literally just a line of code, a single entry in a government database. So who controls ownership? Well, whoever controls the database, right? The person with the power to edit, freeze, or even delete that entry. And guess who that is? The Crown.
So let's put all the pieces together. What is the actual reality of your rights as a landowner? When you strip it all back, the relationship is, well, it's pretty different from what we all thought. You're basically a tenant, and the crown is your landlord.
I mean, look at the difference. Your ownership is this abstract idea, this interest that can be taken away and is totally dependent on a government computer system. But the crown's control? That's real. It's absolute. They have the power to take your land, to tell you what to do with it, and they control the very system that says you own it in the first place.
And this quote really just hits the nail on the head. The way it works in practice is basically identical to a trust. The crown is the one who sets all the rules. The digital registry is what enforces those rules. And your fee simple title? It only exists because the crown says it can. It's a permission, not a fundamental right.
So where does that leave us? Now, this isn't to say you have zero rights. Of course you do. But it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? If someone else can regulate your land, take it from you, and if your ownership is just an entry they control in a database, what does owning it truly mean? I'll leave you with that one to think about. Thanks for tuning in.